If you're watching this video, that means you're part of Sim Nation. And if you're part of Sim Nation, that means you play franchise mode in Madden 26. Welcome to the Sim Gaming Network, where it's all sim all the time. Today's video, we are bringing you the 5 best ways to improve your franchise experience in Madden 26. We're going to go over a couple different things that you should do and implement to make sure you have the best experience moving forward, not just in year 1, but into year 2, year 3, year 4, and so on, because we love franchise mode, right? That's what we get the game for. It's not for the online stuff. Sure, we might play it here and there, but for us, it's all about franchise mode and being immersed in the world that we create with the team that we choose to take over. And I want to help you achieve satisfaction and immersion that'll keep you playing this until next summer. So before we go ahead and dive into that, I just want to say thank you for checking out this video. I really appreciate it. If you happen to be new to my channel, if you want to subscribe, it would really help me out. I have a goal, trying to hit 25,000 subs by the end of the year, and you could definitely help me do that. And if you liked anything that I had to recommend in this video, please like the video, as it'll help more people find this video and thus help my channel grow. Well, without further ado, let's dive in to the video.
And Bonds hits right high. It's a dig. It is out of here. This is caught. Diggs. Sideline. Touchdown. Unbelievable. Bryant for the win. Bang. Watch out. He's got getting away from the top speed. By Michael Short.
All right, so for number 1, and this might be kind of stupid for me to say, but I am going to cover it because I know a lot of people actually leave this at default, and that's going to be you need to get yourself some XP sliders and gameplay sliders to make your franchise experience the best as possible. And the reason I want to cover this is because I do see a lot of people leave XP sliders at default. They use it exactly how EA gives it to us. Newsflash, they do not test this, or if they do, they do not care, because XP sliders at default are an unbalanced abomination. Let's just put it that way. Simulate 10 years, take a look at the rosters compared to what they gave it to us in default, and you will be upset. Let's just put it that way. No balancing done. The positions progress differently. I could talk about the issues with XP sliders for 10 minutes. We're not going to do that. So the main thing is find yourself some XP sliders. It's going to prolong your franchise experience by keeping it realistic and provide a better sense of wanting to continue. Now, gameplay sliders are also important to having a fun experience in your franchise mode. I know a lot of people like to play default all Madden, default all pro, default pro even, because pro offers some great things. And I will say, at the various difficulty levels, there are perks to being on all just straight up default, right? That's how they present the game to you. But every single difficulty level, pro, and all Madden, have balancing issues. Some of them do things better than the other, but then they do things worse than the other. But on any difficulty level, there's balancing issues. It seems to be on any difficulty level this year too, the CPU just can't run the ball. But when you get up to all Madden, you run into CPU quarterbacks feel very robo quarterback. Their offensive line are gods despite ratings. They don't seem to matter as much on all Madden. So a lot of times people try to make sliders to create the balance. And you go down to all pro, it's supposed to be more balanced, but a lot of times the user has the edge. And so people create sliders to try to, again, make it feel balanced. So the best thing you can do for your experience in franchise mode to help you enjoy it and want to continue playing is get yourself some gameplay sliders, get yourself some XP sliders, and plug those in and set it and forget it. Okay, so for number 2, on this list, again, no particular order, but number 2 is playing your franchise offline versus online. Those are our 2 options. Now, online does have basically 2 advantages over offline. Number 1 is when EA chooses to drop an update or 2, they can, depending on that update, bring it to an online franchise sooner, while offline has to wait for the full patch. We saw this happen in college football. They were able to fix the positional change cap breaker issue faster in online Dynasty than offline. Offline had to wait a couple more days. It wasn't anything crazy. The other big perk of being online is you do have, if you start your franchise after the NFL season has started, you do have the Start Today feature, which will bring in all the correct records and stats of the teams up to that point, which is a nice feature depending on when you start your franchise. But I'm here to tell you that despite those two things, offline is better. And here is why. Number one, you are not susceptible to an internet outage or an EA server outage. So remember a couple years ago when EA accidentally deleted everyone's franchise files? Yeah, it didn't happen to offline people. And whenever they have server maintenance for various reasons, you are unaffected because your franchise is offline. Do you happen to have your internet go out for whatever reason? Again, because you are offline, you are unaffected. So you're removing yourself from having to be limited by potential inconveniences that prevent you from playing. The other reason, this is a big one, is that you have more control over your franchise. So in an offline franchise, you can be your own coach, but you can also create characters to take control over other teams. And you can make adjustments and they stick. So for this example, I'm just going to take control of the Atlanta Falcons, and you can, if you just want to make a change real quick to the team, but not obviously create a new coach, just use the real life coach. And you can take control of this team, and you can go ahead and make some settings to help the CPU. For example, before you play the CPU, if you want to go in and you want to set their formation subs, you can do that. And when you retire, they will stick, and then you will see the CPU have formation subs. On top of that, you can go in and you can change their, you can change their schemes. If I can find out where schemes are at, there we go. You go in here and you can change if it makes more sense for them to run a different offensive scheme based on personnel, different defensive scheme, you want to change their playbook, whatever. You can change these things, it is important. You will see better play from the CPU depending on their playbook and their scheme, offensively and defensively. You can change these things, and for the sake of this video, we'll do it right now. We're going to change his offensive scheme. We're going to change it to multiple zone run, right? We're just going to back out. We're going to change it. And then all you do is head over to options and you hit, whenever you're done making any changes, you hit retire. You're going to hit retire from the league. It is going to keep Raheem Morris in your file. So we're back on our franchise with Ben Johnson. And as you can see, if we go over to the scheme section and I scroll over to the Falcons, you will see that the scheme that we changed it to, it sticks. So you have more control as you go through your franchise. Personnel on teams change, coaches stay, or maybe a coach leaves from one team and moves to another. And again, that playbook or scheme doesn't make sense for the personnel. These don't change in the game. So having the ability to change these for these coaches as you move forward in your franchise offers a whole other level of control and allows things to be maintained and play better, which is why I will 100% recommend that you play an offline franchise. All right, so number 3 is we're going to talk about progressing players. And before someone comes after me about how I have everything set to auto, this is because this is not my real franchise. I'm strictly playing games. I'm not wasting time testing sliders and dealing with all the extra stuff. I don't care about that right now, which is why it's on auto. However, progressing players is something that I think needs to be done differently, especially if you want to have the true sandbox experience. So in years past, I have always recommended you can have auto progress players turned off, and in which case you then progress your players 3 times a year. Number 1 is after the preseason, right before week 1, you progress all your players from everything that happened during the preseason. The second time you'll do it is in the middle of the season, week 8, week 9. Around week 9, we have 18 weeks in there, so you can do it after week 9. You progress your players, and then at the end of the season. Those are the 3 times. It doesn't make sense to have a player progress every single week. You have new players progress. It just doesn't make sense. It's not how it really works. You typically see players have growth after the preseason, then after the midway point, consistency would deem growth or, regression. And then after the season as well, you have the full scope of things. However, I also will recommend, if you don't want to go that route, I think I'm actually going to use auto progress players this year. This is the more sandbox style, which is kind of what we want. And you think about other games like MLB The Show and NBA 2K, we don't have control over our players' progression. It is sandbox. It is based on that player, their scheme, their archetype, type of thing that is going to be built based off the scheme that they're in. And the game is going to upgrade their traits to match that scheme. So I think this is the best way to go. And then you don't actually have to worry about it. It's just a natural sandbox style system, which is what Madden used to be until they implemented the XP style progression, which has proved its challenges, as we've already discussed. So I highly recommend that you do not have control over your players' progression, that you just let it be sandbox and kind of just set it and forget it. It's going to give you a more realistic experience and kind of let you be surprised when you see players progress throughout the season and your franchise. All right, number 4 on this. I'm going to get a lot of people talking to me in the comment section on this one, but I'm going to tell you right now, the best way to experience your franchise is turn breakout scenarios off. Yes, turn them off. And here's why. Let's read what it says. When this is on, you'll get a prompt for a breakout scenario for a player to increase their dev trait. When it's off, breakout scenarios will be disabled for all users in the league. Now, I have gotten confirmation that just because you turn off the scenario does not mean that your players cannot have dev trait improvement. I don't know how you want to say it. An upgrade to their dev trait. They will still get them based on their performance. The reason I say you need to have breakout scenarios turned off is because you get these random scenarios that pop up for a player where if they're a star dev trait, maybe they'll get up to a superstar. But in order for this to happen, it gives you a choice of a certain goal they have to have in their next game. This happened to me with a running back. I was on stream and it gave an option for the running back to have a breakout scenario. And the options were 175 combined rushing and receiving yards, 150 rushing yards, or 125 yards rushing and 1 touchdown. And I really hate breakout scenarios because I feel like the EA has a good intentions, but just not thought out well. Because when you look at any one of those scenarios, it forces you with how you play the game. You don't actually just go out there and play the game to play the game. You're going to try to force that scenario to be met so you can have that breakout. So for example, on one of the options was 175 yards receiving and rushing. That means I could go out and I could run for 150 yards and 4 touchdowns. 150 yards combined, I should say, rushing, receiving, and 4 touchdowns, and I would fail my breakout scenario. 154 touchdowns, fail. On the scenario where it said 150 yards rushing, period, 150 yards rushing, again, I could run for 125 and 3 touchdowns, and I would still fail. On the goal that said 125 yards rushing and 1 touchdown, I could run for 200 yards, but if I don't score a touchdown, I fail. Do you see the holes in the breakout scenario? This is why I do not recommend breakout scenarios. This is why I do not like breakout scenarios, is because they are filled with holes. And these scenarios are going to try to, whichever one you pick, you're not going to play the game to try to win. You're going to try to play the game to get that breakout scenario, because to you, having your player improve their dev trait and ultimately make your team better down the line as they improve faster is more important than winning that game. And I don't want anyone to play their franchise mode and be distracted from the goal, which should always be to win. Not next week, not in 3 weeks, but to win today. So breakout scenarios off. Your players will still gain dev traits. You will still have, if you have a great season with your star running back and he puts up 1,500 yards and 12, 13, 15 touchdowns, whatever, he will upgrade to a superstar. Just because this is turned off, that does not impact that. So 100% breakout scenarios, turn it off. It'll give you a better experience in your franchise. All right, so for the last one here, this one might be kind of obvious, but we're still going to cover it. And a great way to continue your franchise and have a good experience is to honestly just not use a good team. All right. When you go through, you're greeted with a team selection. You get to see their overalls. You get to see what their cap situation looks like and what their talent looks like too. But the most important thing here is if you go into franchise and you're using the Bengals or the Bills or the Broncos, you know, some of these teams that are playoff teams, the Bucks, you have a good roster. You're set up to win. And there's nothing wrong with that. But what I have noticed is team players that or people that take over teams that are set up to win 12, 13 games, 14 games even. And they do it. They don't feel satisfied because they didn't do anything. They just won the games. They didn't do any roster building. They didn't make that team their own. They just went out and they just played with an already good team. Where people find satisfaction is when they have to build the team up. So when you look at a team like the Cleveland Browns, who are 78 overall, you look at some of these other lower rated teams, the Colts are an 80 overall. You look at, you go through and find the lower rated team. The Jaguars are 79 overall. The Panthers are 79 overall. The Raiders are an 89 overall. The Saints are an 81 somehow, but we know they have a horrible quarterback situation. And you just look at the Titans, they're 79 overall. And you just look at some of these options here. I recommend playing with a team that needs help. So yeah, you have the Titans, you have the Saints. You know, these two teams, looking at this list, Titans and Saints obviously need some help initially out of this list here. Then you go to the Raiders and the Patriots, which are an 83 somehow, but they could use some help. The Panthers, they need help. You got the Jets and the Jaguars and the Giants all right here. Those would be great teams to build around. The Dolphins need a rebuild, right? They have talent, but it's just not put together. The Dolphins need a rebuild. Falcons have the pieces there, but that would be a fun. The Colts, they have a quarterback situation. What are they going to do there? We know what's going on with the Browns. We know what's going on with the Cardinals. And so there's options here that are going to give you a better experience because you need to go and turn those teams around. And you might have some salary cap challenges with it too. So you look at the Giants, they're an 81 overall, but they have $7.5 million in salary cap space. So looking at some of those things matter. Like, how are you supposed to rebuild the team if you can't do anything in free agency? Well, then it comes down to what you're able to do just in the draft. So yeah, I would just say if you want to make sure you have a good experience, is set yourself up to lose initially. Set yourself up to not make the Super Bowl or go deep in the playoffs year one. It should be a tough year, and build your team through drafting and free agency, and you're going to find more satisfaction. And if in year 2 or year 3, you start to have success and you become a Super Bowl contender, that's okay because you built that team up and you are going to feel like satisfaction. You're going to want to keep playing more and more versus just taking over a team like the Bills or the Bengals or, the Rams or the Packers or the Lions, any of these teams that are already set up, they're right there. And all you're doing is just playing. You didn't do anything to make them special. So yeah, I would just say, go ahead, play with a crappier team, man, and rebuild them. And that's going to be a great way to help you enjoy and enhance your franchise experience. Otherwise, guys, that's it for this video. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. I'm honestly scared to read some of your guys' feedback, but I wanted it anyway. Hope you guys enjoyed this insight into making your franchise experience better, and we'll see you in the next one, y'all. Peace.